Hello all, welcome to the Web Application Pen Testing course on Pentester Academy. Now in this video, we will learn about local file inclusion basics. Now why is LFI important? We've looked at a bunch of RFI examples, but keep in mind that RFI would only work if the allow URL include is actually set to on. Now in most default PHP installations, allow URL include by default is set to off, and hence RFI will not work in most of the cases, but LFI would. So here is what I've done. I've created basically a PHP script which is vulnerable to LFI and RFI, but of course RFI won't work simply because the Apache config does not allow URL include. So let's jump right in. Now the code is available as a zip file under this video. Please download it, and once you download and unzip it in the var www LFI directory, you would actually find the above files in there. So let me actually show you the functionality. So this takes in page as an input from the URL and goes ahead and displays the appropriate page. So let's try this out. Page equals home.html, and of course the home page runs, and page equals contact.html, and the contact page runs, right? Now if you followed the last couple of videos, contact.html and home.html are very simple PHP scripts. Now LFI isn't going to work. Let's prove that. So let's set up a web server. RFI won't work. So let's go back in, try the URL. Right, but if we go there, you notice there was no request. Now if you actually monitor the logs, the error logs, and try this again, you'll basically see that it tells you that allow URL include is set to 0 or is disabled, and hence this can't work, right? And that's why now all we are left with LFI. So in LFI you can actually go ahead and try and reference local files. So let's say etc password, and if you notice it's gotten included. Now what you can read is pretty much dictated by the different permission sets which are there. Now in many distributions the log files may be readable by Apache, at least Apache's logs, which is not the case on Kali right now. So let's say var log Apache, if I do a -l, you'll actually notice that pretty much none of them are readable. There's just one, but really the size is 0 by anybody else, and hence we can't read it here. But you would actually find vulnerable configs where you might be able to read this file. etc password gives you a list of possible usernames on the system, which is a good place to start with. Now, however, here are other interesting things you can do. You can actually try to read htaccess files, right? If there are any in that directory. Or you can try and go one directory above. And if you notice, in this case, we actually found an htaccess file. It basically points us to the auth user file, fantastic, which seems to be under the basics directory itself. This is good. So you can actually go in and look at this file as well. This is really in the same directory. And we get a possible username and a hashed password, which we've looked at previously as to how one can go ahead and break this. Now keep in mind that a lot of times, for example, the htaccess file could actually have open and close tags, and you might not be able to view everything in here. So always remember to go ahead and view the source of the page as well. So if you notice, in this case, we actually have a file called credit card, which is the only one being protected inside the basics directory. So if now we try to access credit card, you would notice that we get the authentication alert in here. And the best part really is you can actually read credit card directly using the LFI, which we have here right now. And here are the contents of the file. Fantastic, right? So this is how LFI can come in handy in actually looking at files, looking at different policies on htaccess and other restricted files. Pretty much you can look at most files which are under the web server, and that makes it a very, very powerful attack, right? You can have config files in there with probably usernames and passwords for the database and a ton of other things. Now in the coming videos, we'll look at different variations and other interesting stuff which we can do with LFI. So that's all I had in mind for this video. If you're enjoying your time at Pentester Academy, then please do recommend us to your friends and colleagues in the InfoSec community. Thank you.